Greatly outnumbered, beaten down, and starving, the remaining Indians had no other choice but to resign themselves to a dismal and disheartening life as dependents of the government, relying on it for nearly every need. On most reservations, issue day came twice a month. This was when food, old clothing, and supplies were distributed to the Indians. Unfortunately, the Indians seldom got all to which they were entitled. Some government agents in charge of handing out money and supplies stole them instead.
The white agents were cheating us. They broke their treaties. They did not give us what they promised. Our people were starving, and we were very angry.
Making matters worse was that much of the reservation land given to the Indians was some of the worst in the country.
The Indians were desperate. One of the problems that they had was that they could no longer hunt and farm in the old way because they were put onto reservations. They were also promised rations from the government as part of the treaties they had signed, but the rations didn't come. They had no way to provide food for themselves. They went to the Indian agent, and the Indian agent told them to eat grass.
Tribes were forced to give up many of their traditions and could no longer perform many of the religious rites and ceremonies. Medicine men, looked to by Indians as highly respected spiritual leaders, were ridiculed and humiliated by white agents. Facing time in jail for breaking reservation rules, some Indians were forced to conduct ceremonies in secret.
We will dance when our laws command us to dance. We will feast when our hearts desire to feast. Do we ask the white man, do as the Indian does? No, we do not. Then why do you ask us, do as the white man does?
Indians were turned against Indians. Reservation police were recruited from the Indians themselves and were sometimes more harsh than the white agents who hired them. Many Indians regarded reservation police as traitors. Indian children were separated from their families and were forced to attend strict boarding schools where they learned reading, writing, and arithmetic, as well as a variety of domestic skills and crafts. The purpose of these schools was not only to teach, but to crush the Indian inside each child, to make them like whites.
The boarding schools were established to eliminate American Indian culture, to assimilate, to make us good brown white people. They were taken far away from their homes, from family, and put into an environment where they didn't see family for years in some instances.
Children had their hair cut short and had to give up their traditional clothing. Those who were heard speaking their native tongues were beaten.
They told me that Indian ways were bad. They said we must get civilized. I am willing to be like the white man, but I do not believe Indian ways were wrong. But they kept teaching us that for 7 years, and the books told how bad the Indians had been to the white men, burning their towns and killing their women and children. But I had seen white men do that to Indians. We all wore white man's clothes and ate white man's food, and went to white man's churches and spoke white man's talk. And so, after a while, we also began to say Indians were bad. We laughed at our own people and their blankets, and cooking pots and sacred societies and dances.